أعزائي المشاهدين، أهلا وسهلا بكم بحلقة جديدة من برنامج موفرز اند شيكرز. البرنامج مقدم من قبل MEA TV ومقدم البرنامج نجار. كالمعتاد بين فترة وأخرى يكون عندنا ضيف ويانا. اليوم ضيفتنا السيدة إيميلي بوش، المرشحة لمجلس النواب الأمريكي في واشنطن عن منطقة ماكومب كاوني وأوكلاند كاوني اللي موجودة في ولاية ميشيغان الأمريكية، عن مقاطعة رقم 10. Emily, thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you for having me, Nick. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. You know, I know you are very busy. You have a heavy schedule. You work and you are a mom and you're running for a position. That's not an easy thing to do. I've been through that, and it was very difficult when you have a job and you have a family and you want to run, and this is a lengthy time. You know, you take a lot of your time, a lot of your energy. So, Emily, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am by trade a professional salesperson. I've been in medical and dental device sales for over 25 years. I went to university in Indiana, at Indiana University, a long time ago. And over the course of my professional career, I wanted to build on what I already knew selling medical and dental devices, in addition to learn how to lead people. And so in the spring of 2021, I went back to school at Michigan State University and achieved my master's degree in management strategy and leadership. And I thought that I would utilize my education to maybe lead a sales team. And here I am now running for Congress to represent Southeast Michigan.
So the question is, somebody successful like you, you know, I've been doing this for many years. I know I'm a salesperson myself, so I know a sales job is not an easy. Why you are thinking about running for U.S. Congress?
Well, I can tell you that I was compelled and catapulted into seeking public service after my son survived the mass shooting at Oxford High School on November 30th, 2021, almost 2 years ago, this coming Thursday. I was somebody that was driven to make sure that I understood why these things happen. Did a simple Google search, how do you prevent school shootings? And it led me to a multitude of solutions, and ultimately I took action, and I'm trying to turn my pain into purpose and make sure that nobody else has to make the drive that I made on November 30th, 2021, and make sure that no other parents or families have to wonder whether or not their children are going to come home safe from school.
See, as a parent myself,
Yes.
you know, it's not easy. You hear in the news or somebody give you a call, school give you a call, or a family member and tell you there's a shooting in the school. You don't know if your child is alive or dead, or this is the worst nightmare for any parent.
That's right.
The minute that day when you received that phone calls, where you were at that time?
I was actually at home, working from home. As you know, being in sales, sometimes we have the benefit of being able to work from home. And I was actually doing some work at my kitchen table, and a friend of mine texted me and asked over text, "Have you talked to Andrew today?" And I immediately texted back and I said, "No, why? What's going on?" And she said, "My daughter says that there's an active shooter at the high school. You might want to get in touch with him." And I immediately texted him. I don't know why I chose to text, but if you have an iPhone, you understand that when you text someone and you know exactly when they're responding because you see the jumpy bubbles on the phone. And as soon as I saw him responding, I called him. Absolutely, I called him immediately, and I could tell he was outside. I could tell he was running. I could hear other people in the background, and I said, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And he stopped and he said, "I don't know. I think maybe there's a fire." But the sad and unfortunate thing is that my son knew exactly what was happening at that moment. He was just afraid of
Tell you.
Exactly.
He don't want to be panicked.
He didn't want to worry
Yeah.
me. So I said, "Can I come get you?" And he said, he pulled the phone away from his ear and he yelled to his teacher, his orchestra teacher. He was in orchestra class at the time. And he said, "Can my mom come get me?" And she said, "No, but she can come be with you." So I said, "All right, I'll be right there." And I got in the car, and I live 4 minutes from the Meyer, where the kids convened. It took me nearly 20 minutes to get there because of all the emergency vehicles. And I missed 3 cycles of the light to get to my son's school because there were so many. I think over 200 emergency first responders came that day. But I eventually made it to my son, and I remember scanning the parking lot, and I had eyes on my kid, and I drove to him, and he got in my car, and I was just so glad that I was fortunate that my son came home that day.
You know, even though your son survived the issue, but I'm sure the trauma you have at that 10 minutes or 20 minutes from your home, it was forever to reach the school.
Yes.
And you see all this emergency, and in your mind, even you talk to your son, and he was live talking to you, but your heart was bumping at that moment, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And I, as a mom, as a parent, I know what the parent of the kids got killed, the 4 children, and the other 4 or 5 of them got injured, or 7 of them, 6 of them injured. And what is your feeling toward that family? How you help that family?
So oftentimes when I'm speaking to people on the phone every day as part of this campaign, oftentimes people mishear me and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." And I say, no, it's okay. My child survived, but there are 4 children and 4 families who are changed forever, 4 children that did not come home. And I tell these people on the phone, I don't know if I could get up every day and do this very difficult work to make change and affect positive change if I had lost my son. So I cannot imagine the nightmare that these parents wake up every single day without their children. And I am working so incredibly hard every day to make sure that I make my way to Washington to affect good change so this doesn't happen to other families.
I know we just been talking about you, how you felt. I need to know, how is your son feeling after 2 years? Almost an anniversary in 2 years and 2 days.
That's right.
So I need you to tell me, how is your son's feeling today?
So I always consider myself very fortunate. My son is doing relatively well outside of a normal 16-year-old junior in high school who hates algebra and struggles with physics. But I also know that I have been resourceful in being able to find help for my son, and I know that not every family has had that same opportunity or has the resources to be able to find good, quality, accessible, trauma-informed care, which is another reason why my candidacy, I think, is so important.
We were talking earlier before the interview about mental health, the government help in this kind of conditions. This is a trauma. It's not going to go away within a day or 2 or 3. This is not somebody, this is a school, children 13, 14, 15 years old to 18 years old.
Right.
They saw their friend get killed, and this is a trauma. And every time there's an issue or anniversary or something, everybody remember that, the parents, the kids, and everybody else. In your opinion, you're running for U.S. Congress, and one of the reasons you're running is to helping the other not to happen again, this shooting. And another issue is important. We're going to follow up with the other question is the weapons. Right. Availability of the weapon to the people in this country. I know with Second Amendment in this country allow us to bear an arm. But some people, I know that not everybody in the right mind. Sometimes people, they have issue, they have a problem, mental problem, family problem, something. They go, there's an access to the weapon is very easy.
That's right.
To go and purchase and do, killing so many kids, innocent kids for no reason, just because he was not treated the right way.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your campaign, about how is your feeling toward the weapon, number one. If you get elected, we wish you good luck. And what are you going to do? How are you going to help? Because I know the president, many other Congress senator, but because we have the lobby for the weapon company, the manufacturer of the weapon, their strongest lobby, and they donated a lot of money to the politician, so they don't stop it. So in your opinion, how we can help as a U.S. Congresswoman?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that this is an issue that is very pervasive, and it doesn't discriminate whether you're urban, suburban, whether you're in a school, a concert, a grocery store. So to your point, though, regarding people being in crisis and this mental health care crisis that we're in America, I think that is a very, very complex, nuanced issue to provide solutions. We talked a little bit about making sure that community-based mental health care has appropriate funding, school-based mental health care practitioners are available to children. And obviously we also talked about how can we fund programs to help maybe subsidize education for kids to go to school for mental health care professions. But I think when you consider the entire problem of gun violence and its ties to mental health and people in crisis, I think one of the things that we need to really consider is people in crisis and access to weapons. So we are fortunate here in Michigan that our state legislature and our governor have recently passed and put into law, taking effect early next year, 3 very common sense pieces of gun safety legislation. So I always like to tell people we have a blueprint of the things that we can do to responsibly regulate firearms here in Michigan that we can mirror in the U.S. Congress. I just think that we need to go further with that, and we need to get people in Washington that continue to elevate this issue. But also, to your point, making sure that there is access to affordable, quality, trauma-informed mental health care to even handle these things with little children, to catch it before it becomes a problem and grievances turn into attacks like what happened at my son's school.
You mentioned, and I saw that in the news, our governor, she was doing a great job to have some laws for guns. How about in the federal level? What is your stand with the federal level about the guns and stuff?
So over the last year and a half, we had something called the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which addresses many different pieces of safety legislation, but not really going far enough. There are things that can be done from the federal level as far as federal background checks, universal background checks, some sort of red flag law or extreme risk protection order, making sure that we are addressing the domestic violence link to gun violence, also secure storage, making sure that people are securely storing their weapons. There are some other things that can be done. There's one called the Charleston loophole, where people, gun stores actually have a certain amount of time to receive the results of a federal background check prior to the gun actually being sold and released to the purchaser. We need to find ways to close that loophole so that if the background check doesn't come back within a certain amount of time, they still can't release that gun or sell that weapon. So there are many things that can be done from the federal level, I think, that are important. But again, making sure that we limit people's access to firearms that are in crisis. It's a very nuanced, inextricably linked problem.
Yeah, and there's another issue without going shooting, mass shooting, and sometimes kids 12, 10, 11 years old, they have an access at the home without locking the weapons.
That's right.
They go with the while they're playing, they kill their friend, their brother, themselves.
Right.
You know, that's the parent issue, or the person who has the gun. That's his responsibility to keep the gun in a safe place so the child don't kill himself or kill somebody at the home.
Well, and you bring up a good point that sometimes people forget about. You know, gun deaths is not just a mass shooting or, you know, violence in city centers. It's also suicide. And so the studies show that if we have secure storage and extreme risk protection orders or red flag laws in place, the suicide rates even go down. So, and I think you also bring up another good point is the family environment and making sure that we have safe, secure homes. In addition to locking up firearms, making sure that people don't fall into these depths of despair, and that goes along with making sure that people have good jobs, they feel safe, their kids are in good homes, the kids can go to school and feel safe in school. So it's very nuanced and very multifaceted. So it's quite the complex issue, but certainly worth working on and not throwing our arms up in the air like we have done for so long.
In the last 2 years, there was a private investigation about the shooting in Oxford.
Yes.
They came up with the 570, 580 pages. They spent $2-3 million doing that report, and they said it's incomplete. Why it took so long, number one? Number two, why so many pages, so many interviews, so many things, and it said incomplete? Why is it incomplete?
Well, I think that there is this belief of it being relatively incomplete because not everyone participated, maybe that was involved in that day. Maybe their own trauma didn't allow them to participate. It was too painful. I think, though, when it comes to the report and the amount of time that it took to get that report, I do believe the report was relatively thorough. I do think that the report had a lot to say about the responsibility of different entities within the district. But I think we're still dealing with a community that is incredibly traumatized. And I think that it's important to note that, as you mentioned, Thursday is the anniversary, and the community and the school district are still somewhat in disarray. The town will never be the same, but I do think they did a relatively good job with the report.
I know there is no teacher or principal or somebody working in a school who want to see the kids get killed in a school.
No.
That's impossible, because most of them, they are parents,
right,
or they have children,
right,
either in the school or different school. They want to do that. Do you think the school was in fault of not detecting this kid? There's a sign was there, this kid was not doing good, or they could do something better, or just was, randomly went away, slipped away from the school principals and teachers?
I think this speaks to what we talked about earlier, which is recognizing people in crisis. I think it is not necessarily a school district's job to prevent gun violence, but it is their job to recognize children in crisis. And one of the things that I think we can talk about with regard to this issue specifically is making sure that public schools are funded appropriately, so there are enough mental health care professionals and guidance counselors to be able to recognize that in a child. And I think that having adequate records of that child throughout his career in a school district and making sure that we follow that child adequately is important. But again, a lot of that is tied back to people in crisis and making sure that schools are appropriately and adequately funded. So I think you're dealing with a couple different things there.
Not trying to take you away from this issue, because it's a very important issue, and there's one of the reasons you're running for
Yes.
U.S. Congress. We said you are District 10, you're representing. What is included in that area? Which area is that District 10?
Sure, so it's a relatively large portion of Macomb County. There are two towns in Oakland County, Rochester and Rochester Hills. It goes all the way over to Lake St. Clair, M59, and then down to 8 Mile, and then all the way over to the lake in DeQuinder is the western border. So I think it's 750,000 people, and it's a concentrated district. So that's Southeast Michigan, Michigan 10.
There is something about the politics in America. When they run for a position, they talk about helping. They do a lot of them. They do. There's many good people in Washington or in Lansing or even in the city level. Sometimes the politician, when got elected, they go away from their principles. They voted because of their party. They want them to be. We elect people like you and others, in a position to represent us. Sometimes the party, dictate what you can do, what you cannot do. We have an issue especially in Washington, between Democrat and Republic. 90% of the time they don't agree, not because they don't believe in that law or a bill or something, because this party don't like that bill. And somebody crossed, like Speaker of the House, when he crossed, from Republican, they vote him out. So they tell the lesson for other, not to be away, not to, party with other party. Do you think this is right? We elect people to represent us, not represent their party.
Right.
The minute they are there, they forget about it. Some of them, not all of them. So what do you think about that? Are you going to work your conscience, or are you going to work with the Democrat Party wants?
So here's what I can tell you that I think is unique regarding me and my candidacy. I think that recognizing the humanity in others and trying to find common threads in our own humanity is something I think that sets me apart based on what we've experienced and what kind of catapulted me into this race in the first place. And so recognizing and finding common threads in our humanity is where I squarely stand. I squarely stand on finding ways to protect our youth, our nation's youth. I think everyone can agree that if we don't do a better job of leaving this place better than how we landed here, then we are doing a disservice to our nation's youth. So when it comes to why I'm motivated and what keeps me going every day and doing this work of running, it's knowing that I'm doing good work to leave this place a better place than I found it.
Great. Sometimes, you know, some politicians, they are great, some of them they are not. The minute they got elected, they don't have open door policy. You communicate with them, either you hear from them or not. I know you are very busy in Washington, traveling between Washington district, your district there, and your district here in Michigan. It's not an easy sometimes to answer every phone call.
Right.
That's the reason you have a staff in Washington and Michigan. Last 30 years, I dealt with a lot of politicians, a lot of Congress, senators, state reps, state senators, a lot of them. Many of them, they were excellent of returning calls. Even themselves, they don't have time. They have the staff manager or somebody from the office. They open the door, they communicate, they help. They help our communities. So you're not elected to represent the Chaldean or Middle Eastern or Polish or Italian. You represent everybody. You represent the community.
That's right.
At large. So people, Italian or Albanian or Chaldean or Latinos, all they want a piece of you, and but you are there to represent them.
Right.
So when they have an issue, even sometimes to you maybe, or somebody probably thinks it's stupid, to him or her, it's an excellent issue they want to. So hopefully we wish you good luck to be elected, number one. Number two, keep the open door policy. Let somebody from your office return a call within 48 hours. You know, at least there's some issues and stuff. You know, I have an excellent relationship with David Bonnier. I have excellent relationship with Kildee. I have excellent relationship with Candace Miller. I have excellent with Carol Levin, Sandy Levin, Andy Levin, all the family there. All the time, their office was open. Senator Levin, Vicky Silva, God bless her, she used to return the call within 24 hours. Andy Levin, same thing. His dad. All the Congress and senator in our area, they were great returning our calls. They respond. Hopefully, keep your door open for every community, not only the Chaldean or Middle Eastern.
Absolutely.
So everybody, your door is going to be open. So now we talked about school. That's one of the issue. What other issue you think is important to our communities in Michigan? You can help when you become a U.S. Congress.
I think that I mentioned it a little bit earlier with regard to making sure that we have good paying jobs and people have security in their homes through good paying jobs, I think is incredibly important. I am 100% in favor of making sure that our schools are appropriately funded, that people are trained properly. I'm a product of public education myself, as is my whole family. I do think that we need to continue to address our climate issue, finding ways to responsibly harness renewable energies and making sure that, again, ties to our children, leaving this place better than we found it and making sure that we access those renewable resources responsibly. We talked a lot about mental health and making sure that we have people filling the pipelines with regard to mental health and mental health, physical health, making sure that people have adequate, appropriate physical health care is important. Nobody should ever go bankrupt if something catastrophic happens, like a life-limiting diagnosis or a catastrophic injury. Nobody should have to file bankruptcy because they've had a health issue or a health event. So those are just a few things that are very important to me. But thank you for asking.
For the last 20, 30 minutes, we were talking, what are you going to do for us? Now is the time to say how we can help you. If I am watching today Nick Najjar interview with Emily Busch, for U.S. Congress, and I said, wow, Emily, she's a great lady. She's care about the family. I need to support Emily. How I can support Emily?
I thank you for asking. Certainly, I'm sure you all realize that in order to get my message out there, in addition to programs like yours, I'm being very grateful to be on your program, I need ways and resources to be able to access the masses. So certainly would welcome any contributions, whether it's in-state or I know that you also reach people nationwide. If these issues are important to you, which I know family and safe families and safe communities should be important to everyone, please, I would welcome any support that you'd be willing to provide as contributions. If you're in district and you certainly would like to hold house parties or have me over to meet some of your friends, you talked about accessibility. I have been in sales for 25 years, and if I didn't return a phone call, I wouldn't get my job done, right? You know this, so absolutely willing to meet people. It's one of my favorite things to do, learning about people. That would be great. You can certainly contact us through my website, Emily for Michigan, EMILYFOR, and then michiganspelledout.com. You can also email through the website. Please don't hesitate to reach out anytime. I am an open book and would love to learn as much as I can about how I can help the people of Michigan's 10th Congressional District or Southeast Michigan. So thank you so much. Would love the support.
Election costs a lot of time,
Yeah.
costs a lot of money,
yes.
a lot of aggravation, everybody got different opinions sometimes, but that's part of the politician. You listen to every opinion,
Absolutely.
and everybody, his opinion is respected. There's many other ways to help. If you want to help Emily here financially, if you don't live in a district, and you are, some people, they say, you know what, I'm not in Macomb County, I'm not in Rochester Hills, I'm not in 8 Mile, I live in Farmington Hills, I live in Wixom, I live in Grand Rapids. There's many ways you can, number one, you can encourage your friend and family who lives in that district to vote. You can send money. You can donate it $1. There's no minimum. There's no minimum. $1, $5, $5,000, 50 legally, as whatever legal you can donate it. You can do fundraising. You can, if you live in a district, you can put a sign in your house or in your business. The politician, the election, there's many, they have many legs. One is money. Second, the voting, the most important thing, voting. Right. Number 3, you can put a sign. You can help people. You can encourage people. You can be a volunteer. You can volunteer.
Absolutely.
Come and do the volunteering. their office will take volunteers, and you can learn. If you are young, you will learn how the politics system in America. Maybe in the future you're gonna run. He and her, both. So that's an excellent point. If you want to help this lady here, if you believe in her, I believe personally, I believe in her. I want to help her. That's the reason she's in my show today. So it's your time to help Emily Busch to run for U.S. Congress and win. How many other people are running from Democrat Party?
There are 6 of us total.
Total
right
of
now.
6 people. And you're running against who? Who's your opponent? The person who's in
the current incumbent is Representative John James.
So he's a Republican. There's
That's
6
right.
Democrats running against.
That's right.
Well, I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Before we end the show, I want you to talk to our community and say something, whatever you want to say.
First and foremost, thank you, Nick, and thank you to MEA TV for having me today. I appreciate this. But also to you, the viewers, if my message, if my passion for helping all Southeast Michiganders and quite frankly everyone across the country, if it resonates with you, if my message resonates with you, I would certainly welcome any sort of communication. Again, I'm an open book, and I am here to serve you. I am here to make sure that our kids can go to school safely. I'm here to make sure that you can go to concerts safely, that you can live your life free from the fear of gun violence, and also feel that you live in a safe nation. So if my message resonates with you and you would like to reach out, please, I would welcome you to reach out. And again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for taking time and meeting with us today.
It was a pleasure.
We wish you good luck. Hopefully before election we see you one more time here. We'll talk about different issue. We didn't talk about international because Congress part of it,
That's
part
right.
of their job international. We didn't talk about it today. today was an introduction to our community. Hopefully next meetings or next interview we'll talk more broadly and we'll talk about different subjects.
Perfect.
And wish you good luck again.
Thank you.
أعزائي المشاهدين، كنا في لقاء مع الشخصية الأمريكية المرشحة لمجلس النواب الأمريكي كونغرس لمقاطعة رقم 10 اللي في ولاية ميشيغان الأمريكية، السيدة إيميلي بوش. نتمنى أنه تنجح بالانتخابات. هي صديقة للجالية الكلدانية والعربية في ولاية ميشيغان الأمريكية، يكون عندنا صوت آخر ممكن نعتمد عليه إن شاء الله في واشنطن. شكرا جزيلا لإصغائكم، وإن شاء الله نلتقي بكم بعد فترة مع ضيف آخر. شكرا جزيلا لكم. نيك نجار، MEA TV.